Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. So this is a very special Halloween themed illustration, and the inspiration was obviously the phrase trick or treat. So these are like Halloween spirit mascots. They go by trick or treat. Some pretty standard stuff. This illustration was a lot of fun to do. I'm not going to waste time talking about the drawing details unless I'm sure I can finish the story for you guys. So yeah, let me just read what I wrote here on my Patreon, and hopefully it fits in this video because it's a bit of a long story. So sorry, I've probably lost all of you. I wrote a bit of a backstory for the characters, so that's what I'm gonna narrate rather than what's going on in terms of like my drawing process. So, alright, story time. Once, a long time ago, a pair of playful twins prepared for Halloween. They took the phrase trick or treat very seriously and set up their pranks and their candy meticulously in and around the playhouse in the backyard. The twins had set up a complicated series of pulleys and levers connected to various items meant to pop up and scare a victim down the lawn and into the playhouse. Those who made it down the calculated path would be rewarded with candy. Those who didn't were expected to drop their candy in terror as they bolted from the yard. The twins would then collect the abandoned treats and add it to their pool of candy to give away. Lanterns and candles lit up the playhouse with an ominous glow. A large faux jack-o'-lantern sat just at the entrance of the yard. Its removable top was the trigger to the twins' plot. A sign staked in the ground next to it read, "Lift top for candy." One twin stood nearby to jump out at passersby, and then to point them towards the jack-o'-lantern. Anyone who looked too scared or who was judged to look too startled by the twin was given a small treat and bid a good night. But the braver ones were shown no mercy. This twin would look on in utter delight as those chosen to lift the jack-o'-lantern top tripped through the backyard. Some victims would wail, others would curse, but the twin loved it the most when a person froze up at the ghouls and ghosts that greeted them. That look of sheer terror on a person's face made the twin giggle. Once the entire show was over, a brave person would have found themselves in front of the playhouse. A sign hung from the door outside. "Enter, and your courage shall be rewarded," it said. But walking into the playhouse triggered another trap. It slammed the door shut and locked it into place. If the person within it panicked and started banging on the door, or otherwise became too noisy, 3 loud knocks would sound from underneath the floorboards. The knocks were repeated until the person inside the playhouse quieted down, and then the other twin would emerge from a trap door in the center of the playhouse to give the victim a small bucket of candy for his efforts. This twin would then unlock the door and bid the visitor to keep the whole prank a secret from the rest of the neighborhood. After a few hours of such menacing fun, the twin that stood outside asked the brother if they should call it quits for the night. But the brother insisted on one more play, and so they continued. Growing weary, the twin outside did not screen the next passerby with a jump scare. Instead, this passerby was immediately invited to lift the top off the jack-o'-lantern. The twin immediately regretted this decision, as the stranger was absolutely wrought with fear as the pop-up ghouls shepherded him towards the playhouse. But this was the last play, and then the twins could go to bed, so nothing was done to stop this last victim. He entered the playhouse, shaking, gasping, when the other twin knocked on the floorboards. When the other twin knocked on the floorboards, it was all that the stranger could take. He banged on the door that locked behind him, screaming, and the twin continued to knock. The stranger saw the trap door in the center of the room, and, noticing it wasn't locked, used his shoelace to tie it down. He whipped his head back and forth, terrified that the trap door now began to shake. "Hey!" the twin shouted from beneath the floorboards. "Hey! Let me out!" The stranger didn't stick around long enough to realize what he had done. He kicked down one of the playhouse windows and forced his way through it, knocking the lit candles and lanterns onto the wood floor. And just like that, the playhouse went up in smoke. But by the time the other twin came, it was too late. The playhouse and everything in it was nothing but ash. The living twin wept by the pile of ash, but the tears dried almost instantly as something emerged from the burnt remains. And perhaps the twin was hallucinating, but a translucent figure resembling the twin's brother appeared. It didn't seem to notice the twin, but began to drift away, and so the twin followed it. Eventually the twin had followed the spirit to a large gate. There was too much fog and mist to see where the gate led. Nevertheless, it opened for the spirit. But as the spirit tried to cross, the twin came in after it. The gate slammed shut, and the twin cried, "Stop! Don't go!" The spirit turned around to face the twin. "You can't come with me?" he asked. "I'll try," the twin replied. "I'll climb the gate, or I'll crawl under it, or..." A loud voice boomed somewhere beyond the gate. "Only one of you may enter here," it bellowed. "I won't go anywhere we can't both go," the spirit responded. There was a brief pause. "Then you must both leave." Suddenly, it was as if the ground beneath the twin disappeared. The twin screamed, falling through the air as the spirit of the brothers spiraled downwards. When it finally stopped, the twin looked up, and there they were, inside their playhouse. A different voice cackled through the floorboards. "You two can stay together here," it cooed. The twin and the spirit gave each other a look. "Can we ever go home?" the twin asked. "If you can find 2 others to replace you, I will send you both home," the voice responded. "Do you promise?" the brother asked. "Pinky swear." A shadowy figure worked its way through a crack in the floorboard, offering its pinky finger to the brother. Before the twin could question it, the spirit and the shadow locked fingers. End scene. Alright, so we got through that story. Pretty much what's that saying is it again. So both twins died. They were sent into purgatory essentially because the brother wasn't allowed to ascend to heaven because he refused to go without his sister, and of course you can't let the sister go, she's still alive. So now they are trapped in the playhouse. It was resurrected by this demon-esque spirit, and their goal is to trap 2 other children in the playhouse in exchange for their lives back. And that's the story. I don't know, it seemed pretty interesting to me. There are a couple of details that could be added. For example, I like the idea that the spirit twin is stuck in this pumpkin, because for video game purposes, it would be really cool to see him pop out of a pumpkin and chase you. But I don't know, it's just kind of like a visual thing that I thought would be cool. Yeah, so they're forever called just Trick and Treat because, you know, after a certain point, vengeful spirits forget their entire backstory anyway, so it kind of just comes down to, like, them haunting people unmercifully. And that's where we're at with this illustration, and why they don't look near... I mean, they were cruel children to begin with. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Let me know what you guys think of this illustration, because I think it wound up pretty legit. Yeah, we're almost done here. The cobwebs on the tree were a bit of an afterthought. However, I felt like I made this ghost thing transparent and there's nothing passing through it to see past it except the fence. So I was like, I need a little bit more, which is why I added the cobwebs. Also, it was a nice like Halloween-y touch. And I tried to hide my signature in there in 2 different places, so hopefully it was okay. I decided stars looked too tacky, so I left them out. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.